Oh, I think I'm making a video. Yay! Yeah, it's foggy today. Anyway, wet but warmer, which is nice. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk. I saw a couple of Fred videos. I don't know whether they're old videos or new videos. Hard to tell nowadays. Because there's a mixture. But anyway, he was talking about consciousness and feelings, and the idea of a sentient robot. This is sort of a theme that's in some movies. You know, there'll be a cybernetic organism who seems to be running on emotion, yeah, which is kind of weird. And like even the Matrix, you know, the sentient Mr. Smith program, you know, who couldn't stand the smell of the humans. You know, this idea is a little tricky though, as a practical matter. You know, and I've gone over it before, but I think it's sort of important that people understand that biology built us. And biology doesn't, evolution's clever. I mean, it did make all these interesting things, but evolution isn't exactly a great engineer. It's just trial and error. And some of its trials that don't get errored are pretty much errors. I mean, they win just because the competition sucks. It's not winning the prize because it thought of a great idea ahead of time and then made it. It's doing it the other way around. It's throwing this stuff against the wall and saying, ha, there, brilliant. It gets lucky, so to speak. It doesn't design. Vision's bad. Yeah, I should have taken my... Well, it doesn't matter. Vision pills. Anyway, oh, fuck. Where was I? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't design. It just happens through this trial and error process. And so there's elements of our design that are just sloppy, wasteful, redundant, you know, all those negative sort of things. And I'm gonna go this way. Sirens. A lot of distractions here. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so there's lots of errors, lots of sloppiness in the design, and so this whole function of a brain that, you know, first creates sensation. I mean, we have to argue that sensation sort of comes first, but you'd also have to argue that what good is sensation without this feeling of thingness that makes us capable of doing something about it. The siren stopped sort of near where I live. Anyway, yeah, there's not much value in it. You know, feeling if you can't do something. It's like a plant. Wouldn't do it much good to feel like running away, because it can't run away. Yeah. So feelings sort of have to be somehow connected. There has to be a first moment where something says ouch, but it says ouch in an environment where it can actually do something about the ouch. The ouch has to be conformed. So I guess the eye of consciousness opened first, and then nature put these mechanisms of attraction and repulsion in front of that eye, in front of that feeler, that sensor. Now some people argue the consciousness is in anything that has a thingness, anything you could distinct, like that pile of dirt is conscious. Some people are crazy. That's what I should have just said. Yeah, that sounds so completely loopy. So I don't think that's going on. I think you do have to have the neurology. Obviously, when we're asleep, we're not saying, oh, I'm really conscious and I just don't know it. I don't think so. So it obviously has to be on. The neural engine has to be running. Other people, like Pirose and such, argue that consciousness is a function of the raw complexity. Like the more neurons you got, somehow the more conscious you are, or something like that. I don't think that's anywhere close to true either. I think the consciousness, the capacity to sense, is really old, primitive parts of the brain, and it doesn't take much of a brain to manifest the attraction, repulsion, sensation mechanism, and to engage a secondary system of learned mechanical reaction to the feeling. And I guess I'm still sort of glued or comfortable with analogizing or metaphoring this to sort of like it creates a fog. Oh, it's pretty good. The brain is intending, the function of the brain is to fog the circumstance, to engage the brain in nuancing through the fog of emotion, the fog of sensation. And by doing that, it enhances performance. So I'm basically arguing that we could be, our reactions are automatic and they are deterministic, but it could be even more overt in that every time you see something, you'll react exactly the same way. Well, this is unpleasant. Yeah, I don't like this. Shit. Gary, no want to fall in water. Oh, I'm never going to get home this afternoon. Ooh, this is going to be ugly. This last leap of death. Fuck it. Whoa, I made it. Barely. I'll have to go the water route home, I guess. Anyway, that was... Damn. Anyway. Where was I now? Alright. So mechanical... we could be very reflexive. Like automatic reflexes. Like everything could be just knee-jerks. But there is an advantage in having this capacity to react more than once. And that's sort of what thinking does. It enables you to react more than once, to find different reactions, to have multiple reactions, and choose the best of those reactions. And we can sort of see our subconscious do that. You can sort of see it taking the time to analyze and build the best strategy. And it's almost like when it's doing this conversation, I can almost feel it doing that. Obviously, I'm talking very slow when it comes to the speed of what the brain is doing. And yet the brain is taking all this time to basically, probably, measure all kinds of different variations on the sentences I could be saying. And it's choosing the one by its built-in standards that it says, that sentence is the one we go with. That's the best way to phrase that. And it's making those decisions in my subconscious very, very quickly and producing this speech very slowly. We just got to sort of concede that, we can move our fingers and our hands and our body much quicker than we can talk. That we can articulate. And that our language would be just grunts and groans or even frequencies if our brain could process that quickly. But it can't. So that's why even our words are drawn out. It's because they need to be slowed down. It's not an accident, that their complexity is, their content is so extensive in terms of one word has a whole bunch of frequencies in it, and it could hold so much more information. But the brain's using a ton of signal space just because it needs the time to think, to play the options and choose an option in our subconscious. So again, the very fact that there is a subconscious, brain function that we aren't conscious of, sort of dispels so many of these phantasmagorical theories of consciousness. Because quite obviously all that stuff is not a player, is not conscious. We can see, we can know of the invisibleness of it because it has such an obvious product. Obviously something that doesn't exist couldn't produce all this that I'm saying. So obviously this unconscious brain space, this unconscious complexity clearly exists. And so clearly consciousness isn't associated with brains, period. It's not associated with thinking, period. No, it's associated with a deeper function of combining reactions, of creating a feedback mechanism where, I've said it before, but this world comes in as sense data, and my brain augments it with more data, emotional data, a sensation. It's kind of gray and dull, dulls my mood, kind of takes me down a few notches, kind of hard to be upbeat and enthusiastic. The slippery mud is burdensome to walk in, creates a little bit of a tediousness and fatigue. And then there's the fact that I'm talking about a subject, and my brain is connecting that to other subjects, other related things, and if you're in my brain, they're usually negative associations. I mean, that's a subject in itself, right? Just the whole process of what dominates how your brain associates one thing with another, and whether your brain does these associations through positive reinforcements or negative reinforcements. And clearly, I think for some of us, my brain has been very cautious when optimistic, and it is very liberal in its pessimism in terms of associations. It tends to not be very optimistic. It's a pattern in the way it's associating thing to thing to thing to thing. What's more likely to get a reaction out of it is recognition of a flaw rather than recognition of, oh, isn't that pretty, isn't that cute, isn't that special. Yeah, no, it's not doing that isn't that special thing. It's definitely doing the radar is definitely set for find the defect, find a flaw, find the broken, find the out of place. It's definitely not saying what is pretty here. What is happy here? Ooh, it's brighter over there. Oh, the bright. Ooh, dark, bright. Yeah, no, it's not doing that. Yeah. And that certainly has a mechanism. Once your brain is engaged in this meat processing of ideas, this grinder, it does gain certain kinds of teeth, and it grinds certain kinds of reality better than it grinds other pieces, depending on what's thrown into the grinder. I mean, every blender, you just move the blades on the blender a little, and it's now it's good at milkshakes. Or if the blades are in another position, it's good at grinding coffee. It just depends on position and trajectory and there's another word for that. No, I'm not going to come up with it. Status. No, it's another word. But the point is, you kind of get it, that's sort of what becomes our nature, or the dominant meme that might be running a psychology is, a tilt in the blade, and it will grind some facts much better than others, grind some circumstances much better than others. And I mean grind and, associate and connect and recognize, realize, make the resolution clear. It will see better in some fogs, better than other fogs. Lots of ways to analogy it. Everybody's vision is different in terms of what their radar is set for and what it can pull out of the world. So, now where was I? I was making a point there, but it's about this consciousness thing. So it's a feely thing, but it doesn't have a function without, I think, if there isn't a reaction to the feeling, if the body can't go, make something happen because of the feeling, then the feeling would have no value. So there is this bit of necessary integration. And that, getting back to the very beginning, is why I think sentient, synthetic life forms are not a likelihood, unless you place in them a biological seed, or unless you figure out what inside our brain, what physics inside our brain, what kernel of physics, what's the minimum physics required to create this mechanism that does this feeling. And I don't think we're going to synthesize that anytime soon. And it's very hard to do experimentally. Very hard to take away all your ability to respond and then still figure out whether you're feeling or not. Really hard to do. I mean, you sort of need the witness to say, yes, I feel. So it's kind of hard to unlayer the brain and reduce it to its minimum and still know what the hell it's doing. What else? Yeah, so the point is, you're not going to make a cybernetic organism that's going to feel, because biology did it by throwing mud against a wall, and you're going to have a hard time duplicating that accident, duplicating the procedure or process by which nature fell on this ability to create the conscious theater, and the I, what we call the me, that is just a plane of perception. You don't do anything consciously. You just watch your programming produce. But that plane of I see, and the fact that what was seen, what was put in front of that eye, was sad or happy, fun or harmful, good, bad, pleasurable, displeasurable, comfortable, uncomfortable. It was attractive and repulsive. The basic, flight or fight. Anyway, not quite where I want to be. Anyway, where was I? Never where I want to be. That's the truth. Where was I? Finishing up. The ice is a little wet. Anyway. Yeah, somebody left skates there. Sneakers. Gloves. Oh, and a hockey stick. And yeah, there's skates under there. I won't steal them. How could people forget shit like this? Doesn't make any sense. Jackets, bottles of water. Obviously they've been drinking or something. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm going to leave my expensive shit. Oh, that's right. It's a town full of rich cunts. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I lost $50 worth of stuff today. Who cares? Daddy will buy me more. Fuck. Anyway. Dismal. See, now I got a whole negative spiral of thoughts about my my servitude to the system. You know, the fact that I gotta go through this unpleasantness and make little drivelly bits of paper that will somehow augment my existence by some marginal amount and make it possible for me to wake up another day and endure some more discomfort. Anyway, it's all just the consciousing, just playing the game. Right. Yeah, I really ain't. But anyway, till next time, and such, and so forth and whatnot. Sorry, didn't need this ending. Just winding down as I approach the work camp. Anyway, till next time, and such. My hands are a little cold though, so it is cooler than, well, I'm really hot. My torso, my hands are cold. That's really important information, isn't it? No, I don't think it is. This stream's fairly easy to get across. Not very challenging, the depth of the water. Usually, most of the time. I do have my waterproof boots on. Alright, so, yeah, see you later. Yeah, I'm just feeling kind of very down. Having these conversations, no feedback, nothing coming back. Just talking to the wind. Kind of depressing. Yes. Too bad. Okay, moving on.